In today's show, the Blazers get some crunch time practice to close the exhibition season, and it didn't go great. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're going to talk about the Blazers' preseason loss to the Jazz. We got some real crunch time minutes for the Blazers regulars, and it didn't go great, but I think it was instructive even in its failure. Plus, there was a contract signed by Keegan Murray, which is good news if you are the representatives of Shaedon Sharpe, and we'll do our final season preview of the offseason, talking Rayan Rupert to close the program. Let's get into the preseason stuff first. Blazers lose to the Jazz in a game that came down to the wire. Typically, broadly speaking, I don't think the results matter unless you're really bad or really good. I think in the middle of the bell curve of preseason success, it is not indicative or predictive of much. But what I had lamented, I don't think I've said it on pod, but to some sort of Blazer friends and media colleagues, is that, the thing that I think would be the best test is just to see them play a close game, see them what does the final 5 minutes look like. And this wasn't the final 5 minutes with everybody because Deni Avdija didn't play in the second half due to back stiffness, and Toumani Camara missed this game entirely. So it's Caleb Love is on the floor, but I would say that in and of itself is enlightening. And we did get Caleb Love and the Blazers starters on the floor for a final 3.5 minutes of a close game. And I think this was, we learned some stuff, maybe mostly bad stuff, but I think the process matters. Real quick on some other sort of notes, Jeremy Grant really good in this game, especially early. He had awesome in the third quarter. Blazers just got outrageously hot in the second half, but Jeremy Grant had such a stinker of a preseason coming off the year he had. He had a very, very good offensive game, and I thought he was really active on defense early. That helped set the tone. He got fouled on his this first shot attempt of the game, hit some free throws. Maybe seeing the ball go in early really helped him. But he was, he had a big night. He made shots. I thought he left some money on the table maybe in the fourth quarter when he missed 2 wide open corner threes. I mean, I guess maybe you think you split those usually. Unguarded corner 3-pointers, you probably shoot better on a truly unguarded corner 3-pointers, but typically they're open shots regardless. So yeah, I thought Grant was, for the first 45 minutes of this game, really, really good. I have some other thoughts sort of on the Blazers rotation stuff, but I think let's fast forward to the final 3 minutes, because this is what I wanted to see. I mentioned that I talked about it with some friends and some colleagues. So it's I think, my perception of the Blazers is that they're not going to be particularly good on offense, but, they might force enough turnovers and play fast enough and just have enough different weapons that they can kind of fake it in some games if they get a big enough lead. But I thought what would be most interesting is kind of how do they win if it's a close game with 5 minutes left? Who gets the ball? How do they score in a game that's a half? You need a bucket. You need to score 3 times in the final 4 minutes to win. How do they do that? Again, I don't think we learned that perfectly in tonight's game because Deni Avdija is going to be a big part of that, and he didn't play in the second half. The Blazers called upper back stiffness. But we did get a ball game. 3.5 minutes left. Blazers up 4, and Chauncey Billups, during a timeout, puts Drew Holiday back in the game. Takes Sidi Sissoko off the court, puts Drew Holiday back in the game. You know who else wanted to see what his team would perform like in the final minutes of a close game? Chauncey Billups. At the final minutes of a close game, it's probably not going to be Mo Bamba, Elijah Harkless, and Svi Mykhailiuk, but at some point, it's just, how do you execute on each possession? You can worry about the quality of competition. Was the quality of competition good? No, but you can worry about the quality of competition at some other points because the season will just bring that to you. What the Blazers needed was reps when it mattered. Come out of that timeout, Drew Holiday in the game, sets up Jeremy Grant. They're up 6 with 3.5 minutes left. You think okay, defend and hold on. But unfortunately, Elijah Harkless gets busy, gets to the, gets an and one, gets to the rim for a couple more free throws. Blazers can't score. Svi Mihalik hits a big three off of an offensive rebound by Mo Bamba, and all of a sudden the Utah Jazz, in the span of about 3 minutes, a little less than 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 15 seconds maybe, or 45 seconds, have erased a 6-point deficit, and now the Blazers are down one with the ball. Awesome. 20 and a half seconds left. Blazers take a timeout. This is what I wanted to see. Who gets the ball? What do they do? Who is charged with being the initiator? Who's the guy takes the shot? Are they creative? Does it look totally different? Do they run something really elaborate, or do they, just like clear out and say, Shaedon Sharpe, go get your money? Like, what do they do? They ran a action. I don't know if the set itself, like the whole set itself, but an action that is very familiar to me, to a Chauncey Billups late game offense. I've seen him do this a lot over the years. You put basically your two primary guys in different spots. You put your one primary, like you're basically going to have a two-man option, like a read for your best two scorers. Shaedon Sharpe lines up way in the backcourt. Jeremy Grant pops out to above the three-point line. And basically, it's a full-speed handoff with a running start for Shea. He can either take the handoff from Jeremy Grant if Grant decides to pass, or he runs all the way through and Jeremy Grant gets to go to work. And down one, you don't need a two and don't need a three. In fact, you want to get closer. Closer is better. It's like the perfect time to take mid-range jump shots because you're at the analytics don't matter because the analytic at this point is 1. That is how many points you're trailing by. You want to take the lead, so you want to get whatever shot you can make at the highest level. You're not worrying about points per possession. You're worrying about points period. This is like a go to work type of situation. You get your best scorers the ball and say, try to put him in an advantageous position. It's an action I'm very familiar with. A full running start option handoff play, often with Jeremy Grant catching. In the past, it seemed like, they don't have any other offensive options other than Jeremy Grant. And this time it felt like, Jeremy Grant's been cooking. I guess he gets the ball, except Jeremy Grant's just not a natural passer. It's just not his skill set. So giving him the ball in these read option plays is just so freaking weird. It's like, he's not very good at this, but he's good at scoring. It's like, put him in the scoring role then. Come on. He gets it, turns, and just kind of chucks one at Shaedon Sharpe. Just a pass that Sharpe wasn't expecting. It was too hot from Jeremy Grant. It's like a chest pass to someone at full speed, a little bit behind him. They never communicated clearly, didn't make eye contact. Ball bounces off Shaedon Sharpe's shoulder, kind of bounces up in a scramble, ends up in the hands of Caleb Love, and Caleb Love does what he does, shoots a three. Pretty, it was a fine look at it, right? But it wasn't the shot you drew up. It wasn't the play you drew up. It wasn't the execution you wanted. It was just a botched move. Blazers have to foul. They're going to get it back. Now down 3 with 5.5 seconds left. And you go back to the bench. Just sideline out of bounds. You get to draw something up. Unfortunately, the Jazz have a whole bunch of 7-footers. So even with four other 7-footers on the bench, 3 at least. I don't think Kyle Filipowski's that tall, but he's big. They still have Mo Bamba in the game, and he's guarding the inbounds pass. So the play they run, Mo Bamba tips Drew Holiday's inbounds attempt, and so they have to run something else. And clearly, when they're getting it, they're like all looking back at the bench. What are we going to run? What are we going to run? What's the call here? Some of this may be just comfort. Later in the season, they'll have some go-to sideline out of bounds. They're just like, here's how we get a bucket. But so they have to reset. They've already kind of shown their play and run their play. So now they have to run something that's like, just sort of like one of their basics go-tos, depending on how many they even have at this time of the year. I would imagine like 1-ish. I bet they have like 4, but 1 that they do well. And Shaedon Sharpe flashes up to the ball, but the Jazz are physical and they kind of bump him off his spot. The ball kind of Shaedon can't catch the pass clean. It bounces out towards midcourt. Jeremy Grant tries to corral it and has to shoot from half court. He does not make a half court shot, and the Jazz win. So basically, the Blazers got 2 scripted ATOs with under 20 seconds left, and both times failed to execute. I think the first one is a combination of I don't love the play and terrible execution by the players, and I think the second one is just bad execution by the players. People like to blame coaches, and this is their chance to put your stamp on it, but I don't really think the second one is a Chauncey problem. The first one is maybe just sort of like for me, my complaint is not necessarily the design itself, but why is Jeremy Grant the one who has the shoot pass decision? How have you watched Jeremy Grant over 3 seasons in Portland and been like, yeah, let's give him a choice to shoot or pass? I bet he won't shoot, right? Like it's just, he's not the guy to do that. And maybe Shaedon Sharpe isn't either. Maybe that's like a really nice spot for Denny, although Denny's going to try to get downhill and like, so maybe like this is what we learned. I think this is like important is like when it does get to, kind of like go get a bucket design play time, the Blazers are still kind of searching for who that guy is going to be. You kind of think it will eventually be Shaedon Sharpe because he's the sort of best shot creator from multiple levels. Denny Avdija is probably just, he's better than him, but he's not, because he doesn't have like sort of the pull-up mastery that Sharpe does. He's maybe not the guy you want there, although you could make the argument down one, Denny's exactly who you want because he's just a bulldozer. So like, I think the best case scenario is that Sharpe graduates into being clearly the option and you have this really awesome second choice with Denny. But test number 1 to executed crunch time, a failure by the players. And for me, kind of just like a bad, not a great plan by the guys who drew up the play, by the coaching staff. I don't know if Billups drew that up or Saint drew it up or whoever's drawing late plays, but it looks like to me a familiar Billups play, and they went back to it and it just didn't work. And I just don't love the design of it. I don't love making Jeremy Grant the pass shoot decider there. Like he had an awesome game. If you're going to give it to him, I kind of just say like, shoot it, like if you're going to say, let's give Jeremy Grant the ball down 1 with 20 seconds left, I'd almost rather just like have him take an ISO jumper than have like this, than do something he's not very good at. Right. I'm a big proponent in like, do what you do best. You want you to put your players in their position to do what they do best. And like Jeremy Grant doesn't do that very well. You're kind of like putting him in a spot that he's just like not very good at it. I have some other thoughts on this game. I will share them briefly, but I also want to talk about Keegan Murray getting $140 million and why that's good news for Shaedon Sharpe. Let's talk about that. Join me in the second segment. First, though, let's talk about FanDuel. Football season is here. The Pittsburgh Steelers just blew it on Thursday night, but that is not a problem for you because there's still going to be more sports coming your way. And FanDuel right now is offering you a great deal. You can bet just $5 and you'll get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet. Put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. New customers are getting a good deal. So if you are a new customer to FanDuel, you're going to find a bunch of ways to play. Once you win that first $5 bet, you can use wager with parlays, player props, follow games live and bet them and say, Joe Flacco is going to march down the field against this highest paid defense in football against the Pittsburgh Steelers because they're no stinking good. So whether you're a casual fan or a scorned Pittsburgh Steeler fan, you're going to find some action on FanDuel. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Today's program is also brought to you by DUER. They're making really stinking comfortable pants. And that's and even better than just the stinking comfortable pants, and they are, is that DUER's grand opening of their store in Portland is this weekend. So go in and check out their wonderful jeans. I know you're going to love them. Their jeans have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. So they feel stretchy without looking stretchy. You can look like you're dressed really nice, but you're still rocking performance denim that lets you do whatever you need to do. The jeans are made with CoolMax. It regulates your body temperature and wicks moisture. So it keeps you cool and comfortable as the temperatures change. They're great for any season. They're great for any occasion. DUER are the pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing. They invented performance denim. So go check them out. It's time to upgrade to the world's most comfortable pants. Get your DUER jeans today. I know you'll love those too. DUER, opening that store this weekend in Portland at 820 Northwest 23rd Avenue. The new era in denim has arrived in Portland, and if you go to their store grand opening, you can mention my promo code. Go do it. Mention my promo code Locked On Portland in store. You get 15% off your first order, or you can check them out online at shopduer.com/LockedOnPortland for 15% off. That's shopduer.com/LockedOnPortland. All right. A couple sort of stray thoughts from this preseason game. Then we'll get into the Shaedon Sharpe contract stuff. Congratulations to Keegan Murray. You might have gotten multiple people paid. I'm happy for everybody. I thought Shaedon Sharpe has closed out this preseason having some really nice passing moments. I thought early in this game he passed really well. I thought his first game against the Warriors he passed really well. I thought his second game against the Warriors he passed the ball really well. It's not like he's like, he's not Trae Young or whatever. Like he's not like flipping off the dribble lefty throws, but like quick, smart reads, making good passes, seeing the floor and seeing skips, like big skips all the way across the floor and across the defense, like head up, smart plays, reading the defense, watching the weak side load and reading that sort of that weak side defender. He doesn't always do that. Like I said, last year he would have some flashing passes where it's like, I didn't know he could do that. Why doesn't he do that more? But I think in preseason he's taken a little step forward there. He's not like point guard level by any means, but his ability to see the floor has clearly improved. Blazers turned the ball over a lot in this game, and they made an outrageous number of threes in the second half. They made 12 three-pointers in the second half alone. They kind of started the game shooting like below average on threes, but a lot of volume, and then they just cashed in, and they should have won this game. Like they're +7 at the three-point line. They made 21 threes to the Jazz's 14. That's like too much box score stuff for the preseason, but like this was a game where the defense, like if this team is going to shoot that well, if they're going to make 23s in a game, they need to win. But the turnovers still remain a problem. Jazz feasted something like 30 points off turnovers. I think points off turnovers was kind of a bogus stat, but like you just don't get free throws. You don't get field goal attempts if you turn the ball over. And I think early, particularly Blazers gave up some transition opportunities early. Okay, this has been back-to-back games, so I'm going to mention it. The Blazers have gone 10 deep in the first half. And during that first stretch, I really hope this is a preseason thing. Billups has gone to this all bench group: Caleb Love, Blake Wesley, Chris Murray, Sita Sissoko, and Young Hansen. How is that team going to how's that group going to score? I just think their offense might be dicey enough as is that they just need to stagger. Denny or Shaedon Sharpe absolutely has to be on the court at all times. You could say Drew. You could make the argument that Jack Drew needs to be on the court with that group, but he's not like a get the ball and go score. He did make a ton of threes in this game, though. He shot very well, had a great offensive game. I hope that's just a preseason thing. In the regular season, I don't think you can get away with like, hey, we're going to put out an all bench group. Like, even if it's only for 2.5 minutes, I think the Blazers margin is just like too thin to do that. I hope that needs to go away when the games matter. You cannot play the how you going to score lineup on a roster that is already kind of lowercase how you going to score. You can't go capital how you going to score. I think that's it of my thoughts. Caleb Love might be getting the Delano Banton Memorial "we need a field goal attempt" role, just like someone whose best skill is shooting getting attempts, like FGAs. Caleb Love may have moved into that Delano Banton, we need someone to just put the ball on the rim, and I think Love may have graduated there. Okay, let's get into this Keegan Murray thing quickly. Keegan Murray signed a contract extension, 5 years, $140 million. Woo, that's a lot of money. So what does that mean for the Blazers? Well, it means, one, the Kings have committed a lot of money to a player who has, as far as I can tell, gotten worse on offense every year he's been in the league. But he's a good defensive player, and he shot 41% from three as a rookie. Someone his size who can shoot and defend at the level he can defend at. That's like a very coveted type of archetype in the league. If you think that Murray can get back to being that, although he was not that last year shooting wise, you got yourself a player. The thing is, if the early reporting from Jake Fisher of the Stein line was that the first sort of forays the Blazers made to try to get Shaedon Sharpe to sign a contract extension, fellow 2022 draftee who has until Monday to sign a contract extension. The deadline is Monday, October 20th. If the early forays the Blazers made was something like 4 for $90, the price just went up. I would say over the last 15-ish years in the league, I think it would be unwise to start an NBA argument with the Kings did it, because yeah, okay, cool, the Kings did it. But certainly this contract gives Sharpe's camp something firmer to negotiate with. They say Keegan Murray might have been more productive than my client, but you tell me, who would you be more comfortable paying that money to? And you might say 4 for 140 or 5 for 140. My goodness. But like, if you think of a percentage of the cap, that starts, according to Keith Smith's numbers from Spot Track, that's going to start at an estimated about 14.5% of the cap, and it rises by the end of the contract to about just shy of 15.8% of the cap. Starters are going to make somewhere between like good, your sort of low end starters, your third and fourth starters are going to make somewhere between 14 and 18% of the cap. Better starters are going to make 20%. And then the max, there's 3 levels of maxes, 25, 30, and the big one had the full 35%. Like superstars are going to get that 35. No one else is going to sniff that in the modern league. And even then, I think the super max contracts are still a little bit scary for teams just because of the climate of the league. But like paying Keegan Murray, who I think is pretty good, although I don't think he was very good last year. Paying Keegan Murray like 14 to 16% of the salary cap is kind of normal. If you look at like, it's a big dollar figure, but it's not that like in the grand scheme of how NBA contracts work, that is about normal. I don't love it for Keegan Murray, but like that's not an outrageous sum. And I think even some people might like that for Keegan Murray. And I don't even have I have no problem with that take. But to each their own. Jabari Smith Jr. early in the summer, he's the first guy of the 22 draft class to sign. He signed a contract that starts at about 14.3 and declines. So it climbs, but he's going to be making 14 between about 13 and 14 and a half during his time. So like because it goes up and comes down and then goes back up again for Murray or for Jabari Smith Jr. So like you think like somewhere between the two guys, those guys are obviously drafted higher than Sharpe, but same kind of like top 10-ish range, something like 14.5% to 13.5% to about 15.5%. Those are what the contracts are. That means that 4 for 90 is just probably too low. It's probably too low of a starting point. The number I've been floating for Shaedon Sharpe is 5 for 115. And if you just look at the market now, 5 for 115 is like he has something real to negotiate with. Like he can say like, I don't know if you can get full Keegan Murray money because I think Sharpe's archetype right now is like a shooting guard who doesn't defend very well, and you can negotiate against that. Like that is specifically the sort of maybe the least valuable position in the league. The argument from Sharpe's camp would be like, he's so much more than that. Pay him because he's going to be so much more than that. And I think that's where the negotiation comes in. But Murray and Jabari Smith are like guys who defend, and like bigger wings who can defend and shoot is probably a more valuable archetype than what Sharpe is, unless Sharpe hits his like high end outcomes, and then he's like an offensive star, and then he's like you're getting the steal. I think there's a ton of upside at 5 for 115, but I think now if you're Shaedon Sharpe's camp, you're negotiating at a minimum. You're saying 5 for 130 period, like 5 for 125 is where it starts. If I'm the Blazers, I do really try to get that 5th year for Shaedon Sharpe. I think that's really important. A 4-year contract's no good. A player option is no good. 5 years, nothing. I'm 5 years team, 4+1 with a team option. But like, yeah, I think you want 5 years. And I think if you just, the market is, Keegan Murray signing this a couple days before the deadline is bad news for the Blazers because it does give Sharpe's camp something firm to point to. Does it increase the likelihood that it signs? No, I don't think it changes, but it does increase the dollar figure where the negotiation is able to be bumped to with a realistic point. Say like, hey, what you think? Who would you rather have 26-year-old Keegan Murray, or would you rather have 22-year-old Shaedon Sharpe? Take your pick. That's the price. And if Sharpe's camp says 5 for 140 is the minimum we'll sign for because look at the market, I think they have a very, very strong argument for that now. An argument that they probably didn't have until Keegan Murray inked this deal. Go Kings. Way to go, Keegan Murray, labor pioneer. Let's talk Rayan Rupert to close the show. We'll do our final season preview of the regular season, or of the off season. What season is this? The off season. And then next week, it is here. Join me in that third segment. Before we do, though, let's talk Wayfair. Listen, the holidays are coming. Before you know it, it is going to be here. And folks are going to be in your home, and getting your home ready for guests and celebrations can feel like a lot. So maybe your serveware needs a refresh. Your guest room could use new bedding. Wayfair has everything you need. to get your home holiday ready. From Christmas trees and wreaths to bedding, cookware, and outdoor inflatables, it's your one-stop shop for every room in the house. Wayfair makes it easy to personalize your home for the holidays, and with a huge selection for each and every style and each and every budget, you're going to find something you like that you can afford that fits what you're looking for. Plus, they got free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff, so you can get everything you need without the hassle of a huge delivery fee. Get organized, refreshed, and ready for the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. All right. So, our final player preview of the offseason. What we do in these player previews is we look back to look forward. We're going to talk Rayan Rupert, what he did in the 24-25 season. Then we'll talk best and worst case scenarios for this upcoming season and talk about Rupes' role. This is 14 of 15. I'm not going to do a Damian Lillard one, but everybody's going to be living in that. If you're a YouTube viewer, there is a playlist. All of them are living in the season preview playlist on my YouTube page, on the channel page. Go check that out. Spend all weekend watching my season previews and get caught up on everything you need to know about the Trailblazers. If you are an audio listener, just search season previews in your podcatcher of choice, and you will find all of them, and you can catch up. You've got time. You can binge this weekend. You can do it. The Blazers don't play until Wednesday. You can binge. I believe in you. Rayan Rupert, what did he do in the 24-25 season? His second in the NBA. He played in 52 games, averaged 3 points, 1.3 boards, and half an assist, shot 40.8% from the floor, including 27.1% from three and 76.7% from the free throw line. Played 8 minutes a game, 8.8 minutes per game. Did not start in any of his 52 appearances. He played just 460 total minutes, a significant drop from 633 as a rookie. He has not hit the 1,200 mark in 2 years. If anyone suffered last year from the Blazers' steadfast determination to finish 10th in the Western Conference, it was Rayan Rupert. He was not good enough to earn minutes on his own. They would have had to carve out time for him. They chose not to do that because they were trying to be more competitive. And clearly, he has sort of not won the favor of the coaching staff, and that still remains true. Rupes had a brief moment early where it's like, hey, Rayan Rupert might help. 5th game of the season, they're playing the Clippers. He comes in the opening 5 minutes of the fourth quarter because they got a little foul trouble, and they're down 7. When he steps on the court, he makes all 3 of his shots, including a 3-pointer. He had another foot on the line that would have been a 3. They're from down 7 to down 1, and then Anthony Simons and DeAndre Ayton came in the game and kind of brought that one home. But it's like Rupes had a brief moment where it's like, maybe he'll help. And then he just was back out of the rotation. He didn't play very much. He just was not part of the plan at any point. And by the end of January, the Blazers finally sent Rayan Rupert down to the G League. Early in the season, it's kind of hard because the G League starts a little bit later. And the Blazers, I think, were worried that if you send Rupes down there and someone sprains their ankle when they're on the road, then they're actually going to need need the bodies. And they don't really, they're not big on sending guys down for long stretches in the G League. I thought they would utilize him more, utilize the G League more, but he ended up playing 11 games in the G League. He averaged 18.7 points, 6 boards, 3.5 assists, steal and a half a block. Did not shoot well from 3, 8 of 35 from 3 in the G League. That's 23%. 70% of the free throw line. There's been moments when he shot the ball well. Like his rookie season, I thought Rayan Rupert was going to be a defensive player who shot bricks, and he shot 36% from 3. And then his second season in the league, he played a lot less, and he took 20 less shots. He's only taken 137 threes in 2 years. 137 threes in 91 games. But his second season league, he shot 27% from 3, and then he shot 23% from 3 in the G League. I think the shot looks good. He shot very well in summer league this summer. Maybe that's a thing, but it just hasn't been yet. And then at the end of the season, basically all of Rayan Rupert's minutes came in the final 6 games. 31% of his total minutes for the year came in the final 6 games. He basically didn't play until the final 2 weeks of the season. And that's where we finally saw him. I thought in summer league in Vegas, Rupes had one very troubling anonymous game where it's just did he play? He just didn't do anything. He shot the ball 4 times. And otherwise he had 3 pretty good, like outings that range somewhere from like decent to like downright good. Like the first game of the Rupert experience, like, yeah, he's good. And he shot the ball very well in Vegas. So now he enters training camp in the final year of his contract. Let's talk best and worst case scenarios quickly. What's the best case scenario for Rayan Rupert? It's that when he gets a chance early in the season, when he gets a cameo, he inserts himself into the back half of the rotation as a regular, and then he never lets go. If he does get 5 minutes in the fourth game of the season, well, maybe he gets another 6 minutes in the ninth game of the season, and then this year he plays well enough in these brief cameos to demand more opportunities. The shooting pops. The shot looks good. He just hasn't done it well. The length on defense kind of fits the plan, and on a team desperate for some more spot up shooting around some of their premier playmakers or, premier sort of engines on offense, that Rupes helps grease the wheels in the half court. And he ends up being an answer to a question that they're going to be asking pretty often. His length is useful on defense. He adds enough off the dribble and transition stuff to have a variety that keeps him on the floor on offense. And assuming the shot goes in, he ends up in this best case scenario, they're one of their better shooting options off the bench. The best case scenario is that he inserts himself into the regular rotation and then cements himself as an NBA player moving forward. The worst case scenario is that he spends another season as a spectator. Like, he's out of the rotation right now. Sidy Cissoko is playing over him in preseason, like getting first half minutes. Rupes played under 8 minutes in the final Blazers preseason game, committed 4 fouls, did not really get back in the game. They just said, that's not you, get out of here. And they wanted to play their starters when it mattered, right? They just he has been a mostly relegated to the fourth quarter, although he got some third quarter reps in this particular game. And he's clearly behind Caleb Love. He's clearly behind Sidy Cissoko. Like, even if the Blazers go into the regular season with the exact level of health they have right now, Rupes is out of the rotation. And the worst case scenario is because he begins the season out of the rotation, he's going to have brief opportunities. And the worst case scenario is during those early cameos, he never plays well enough or emphatically enough to demand more opportunity. And much like his second season in the NBA, his third season is marked by waiting and watching and not by playing and proving. The worst case scenario is that this is the end of his Blazers tenure. And after limited action through 3 seasons, the 22-year-old, he'll turn 22 in May of 2026, heading into the offseason, he will enter free agency hoping another franchise will take a flyer on him. Rolling expectations for Rayan Rupert is that, like I said, I just mentioned it, like, he's not going to play. He's out of the rotation early, that's for sure. He's definitely behind Sidy Cissoko in the rotation. Like, we very, very clear watching preseason that, right? That's the deal. And like, that's right now without Matisse Thybulle healthy, without Toumani Camara healthy. Rupes is going to begin the season outside of the rotation and likely behind a two-way guy in Cissoko. I think I would be hard pressed to say, like, yeah, they'll give him his chance, because what did he? It's like still the same coach who basically did not play him at all last season, when it was like much. It could have been a more developmental year if they had chosen it to be that way, but they absolutely did not. And like, he played his third of his minutes came in the final 2 weeks of the regular season. I can't see a world where the Blazers have reasonable health where Rupert doesn't repeat that same experience. It's tough. You're a second round pick. You got drafted as a second round pick as a teenager. You're just going to be a project, right? That you're coming in as a project, and the Blazers just for whatever organizational reasons, they never said, like, his rookie season, whatever, him playing 600 minutes as a second round pick is whatever. But years 2 and 3, he's just like, he's on a team that has no interest, and I guess at this point no incentive to really play him, right? Sometimes you just don't land in a situation that sort of works out for you. Not that Rupes has like played well enough to like really need minutes. I'm not saying that by any means, but like, this is sort of the organizational alignment stuff that sometimes is just like can be challenging for players. Is like, you draft a guy as a project teenager in the second round, and then you don't really carve out time for that project to get out on the court, and then you also don't like commit to him playing, say, like 40 G League games or something like that. So, he's not like a true G Leaguer. He's kind of caught in the middle, which is like not getting enough reps. And clearly he does not have the favor of the coaching staff. I don't think he's played well enough that I feel like he is owed the favor of the coaching staff. So instead he's just caught kind of outside, and now he's going to head into this uncertainty. Like, he's 22. He'll probably get another shot. But this year is not going to be the year that like they really commit to Roops. That is very clear. Guess what? Next week, the NBA season starts. The NBA regular season starts on Tuesday. The Blazers season starts on Wednesday in the Moda Center against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So next week, there's some stuff to look out for. They're going to have to pick up the options on Chris Murray and Scoot Henderson. Scoot's like a lock, obviously. Chris Murray is, I would say, almost he's like a 90. I would put him in the high 95 plus percentile. But I think it'd be curious what they end up doing with Chris in terms of just picking up their fourth-year options heading into this season. And then Shaedon Sharpe's contract extension deadline is Monday. If they don't reach an extension by October 20th, Sharpe will play out the season on this deal and enter restricted free agency next summer, where the Blazers, there's not a flight risk. He's not going to leave. That's not how restricted free agency works. But the Blazers and Sharpe will have to work it out, with Sharpe able to test the market and the Blazers' ability to match a contract should he find one. That's the contract stuff. But then the basketball starts and it all goes away like that. Like, okay, you get to Monday night, here's that stuff. Poof, gone. Basketball. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that. I've got a really fun show planned for next week. I'm not going to tell you about it now, but I've been working on it behind the scenes. I think you're going to really like it. It'll probably come out Monday, but if there's some news that happens over the weekend, like say Shaedon Sharpe gets $150 million, we'll probably lead with that, and that show will get bumped to later in the week. We'll do obviously a big preview of the Blazers' early game, or opening game, talk about what we're excited, what to watch, and all of those things. 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, get excited. It is here. Tell your friends about the podcast. I appreciate you listening. I will talk to you soon.